Creatures of the night, here we are with a New Japan review. It's been so long since I've done one of those, but tonight I have my very first New Japan watch along, and it felt so good. Had a really great time with this pay-per-view. Let's get into it. I did miss the pre-show. I always forget about these pre-show things. I'll catch it next time. Now, we did start off on the main card. We had Suzuki versus Ren Narita. This was like 10 minutes. I was very surprised about this. I thought that this would run longer. They're definitely building Ren to do something that I don't know. Like they're building him to be a top guy, and I didn't see this at first, but we'll get into a little bit more towards the end of the review. He was pretty much in control, and I found that to be very different for someone like Suzuki. I was kind of thinking, all right, maybe this might be neck and neck, but the Ren was more in control and more favorable here in this match. To me, he ends up taking the win. Very interesting. We got a little bit more to say about Ren a little bit later. We had the New Japan Strong Women's Championship. We had Stephanie Vakir versus Azumi. This was very great. Stephanie is so beautiful. Oh my God. The gear was on point. I would totally wear that. Like she just looked freaking amazing and very, very great in the ring. I would love to see if she still has that title. I would love to see that title to be defended at Forbidden Door. Not sure who I would like to see her go against. There's so many possibilities in terms of who she can go against, but I would like to see like storylines playing out. I don't want to just see, oh, well, you versus you and just make it happen at the pay-per-view. I want to see, stories coming to life. That's what I want to see. She was absolutely amazing here. Azumi was too. Azumi's actually going to be on Collision tomorrow night. If y'all want to see more of her, she's also been on Ring of Honor. She was at the pay-per-view in, I want to say it was Trios action. And she's absolutely amazing. But man, Stephanie looks just fucking phenomenal in the ring. Now, Stephanie obviously wins, retains the title. And then we have Alex Windsor, who come and basically said, hey, you meet at Resurgence. Resurgence is like 3 weeks away, I think. Stephanie, she accepts. She's not going to say no. She's the champ. And we'll see what happens with that. I don't think she's going to lose the title. I don't see that happening. Now, we have the tag team match. And this one right here kind of blew my mind too, because we had Tom Lawler, Fred Rosser in one team. We had the West Coast Wrecking Crew. We have TMDK in another crew. And then we had the Gorillas of Destiny in another. So this is a 4-way match. Oh, God. While I enjoy this, I did feel like when we have this many people out, these multi-man matches sometimes can get really messy, and it did at some point. It was really tough to keep in track of who the legal guy is, and I kind of felt like the ref gave up with that because there was just so much going on where he just got to the point where it's just like, man, fuck it. Whoever gets in the ring just gets in the ring, and the teamwork was absolutely amazing. ELP, Hikuleo, they were just, the teamwork was just so great from them. And I was just like, all right, it felt more like they were going to retain. But then I felt like if anyone else were to win the titles, it was least likely going to be TMDK. And I was so fucking wrong about that. TMDK actually took the win here. And let me just say this too. This is no shade to New Japan, but y'all need to get it together with a camera. I've said the same thing about AEW too. Sometimes the cameras are just not present when the big moments in the matches are happening. When we have those spots that need to be seen, the cameramen, they just seem to be all over the place because there's all these guys involved in this match. There's wrestling in the ring. They're fighting outside of the ring, sometimes even outside the barricades. So then the cameras are just everywhere, and they're not keeping up with what I think are some of the more important spots in these matches. I just was really surprised. TMDK, this was their first time winning the tag titles. So congratulations to them. When I tell you, they won them and they were out. They probably were in their cars by the time their music stopped playing. They were gone, okay? So then here comes the West Coast Wrecking Crew. They're upset as hell. So they end up beating up on Fred Rosser and Tom Lawler. What they end up doing is they end up holding down Tom and they start cutting his hair off. And I was just like, well, you know what? He needed that. He needed that haircut. I'm not mad at it. But then one of them put the hair they cut in his mouth. They end up taking the other rest of the hair and shoving it down Fred Rosser's throat. I was just like, what the fuck is this? There's just no way I'm going to take somebody else's hair and put it in my fucking mouth. I wouldn't even take my own hair and put it in my mouth. That was just so hard to look at. It was a very interesting match. Like I said, I enjoyed this, but the camera work, awful. Awful, awful, awful. Now, let's talk about what everybody want to talk about. Jack Perry versus Shota Umino. Lord, where do I begin? Shota Umino, he's doing it with that blonde hair. I'm liking it. Let's talk about Jack Perry. Jack Perry comes out. When he comes out, he has like a leather jacket on, but you can clearly see that he's holding onto the Chicago flag. And it's interesting because he's holding it, and that's when I put all the eggs in a basket, and I was just like, wait a minute, they're in Chicago. This is punk city, you know? And I thought about that. A lot of people was booing him. Some people not so much. When he turns around and he moves the flag, you see it says Crimea River on the back of his jacket. I could have fallen out laughing on this chair. I thought that was a nice little shot that he threw out there. He goes to the ring, takes off the jacket. He has that armband that says Scapegoat on it. This was a great match. This really was a great match. And for me, what I was paying attention to more than anything else was how Jack was able to get under the skin of everyone. They were already in Chicago. A lot of the people were already not feeling him for obvious reasons. And they were booing him. They were definitely letting him know that they didn't give a fuck about him. And obviously that had to do with Punk. And especially with the footage that aired the other day. Now, some people were cheering for him while some people weren't, and that's okay too. But he was actually really, really into that heel energy, exactly what we needed from Jack. Well, the last time we seen him in AEW, he was being a heel, but I didn't think it was all that. But this time, he's finally tapped in fully into that heel energy, and I absolutely loved it. And I kept saying, I want to see him hit that GTS. He better hit that GTS. And he ends up grabbing up Umino, put him on his shoulder, and he was going for it. When I tell you, when I seen him, lift him off the shoulder and was about to get that knee to the face, somehow, magically, Umino counters that into a DDT. Like, I know it sounds weird with me saying it, but you had to see it. It was done so perfectly. A beautiful counter. I was just like, holy shit, these guys are amazing. Umino takes the win. I was very disappointed about that. I am not a Jack Perry stan or whatever, but I felt like with everything that's going on right now and how he performed tonight, I would have given it to Jack. I would have totally booked him to win this. Absolutely. I thought that would have been the best way to go. And they just didn't do that. So that's, to me, I think that was the only thing that disappointed me here. But this was a really great match. Now up next, we have Mustafa Ali versus Hiromu Takahashi. And y'all know Takahashi has Daryl Jr. He comes out with Daryl. Daryl has a luchador mask on. And when I tell you, Daryl is built like a fucking unit, all right? The abs are just on point. The pecs are just sitting up. And I'm just like, what the hell is going on? What have y'all done to Daryl Jr.? Daryl becomes a huge factor in this match for whatever reason. They're giving us comedy, and I felt like it took a little bit too much of the match, if you ask me, but it was still a great match. The pacing was slow. Not exactly what I was hoping for. Mustafa Ali does take the win here. They end up, well, I was going to say they end up shaking hands, but it's really Ali who ends up shaking Daryl Jr.'s hand. It just could have been better, but I'm not going to complain. Whatever. Here we have the Riot Rules match. We had Gabe Kidd's team. He had Kenta, David Finlay, and Clark Connors. And then we had Team Eddie. We had TJP, Jeff Cobb, and guess who? Homicide. Y'all got Homicide to get up and be in this. I was so shook when I saw Homicide. I was just like, whoa. Okay, I was not expecting that. Now, where do I begin? Another multi-man match where they just had trouble keeping up with everybody. You know, it was very difficult to stay focused on certain things. Like just when something's getting good, then all of a sudden camera switches off to another place in the arena. I'm just like, holy crap. It just wasn't great in terms of the camera work. Like everything they were doing is not the issue with the wrestlers. It's the camera work and the poor lighting. Why was it so dark in there? Oh my God. It was just super dark. And sometimes they had to turn on like a light next to the camera just to brighten up that area. It's not that great. New Japan's been around for so long. Let's get it together. These shows, these matches are too great for us to lose a quality in terms of the camera work and stuff, whatever. But it was interesting. For the most part, they were outside the ring. And at times I was just like, can somebody get in the ring? Because all the good light is in the ring. Got back into the ring. We had weapons. Eddie Kingston came with a whole garbage pail full of weapons. And y'all know Eddie. He's always he's always that type of dude who was ready to fight. However, Eddie Kingston, I love Eddie, but he's always looking winded and tired. Always. Even when he's not in this type of like a hardcore match, he's always looking winded. And I think he really does need a break. He really needs to chill out. Right now, he has one title. He already lost the Continental title, and he lost the Ring of Honor World title. Now he has the New Japan Openweight title. That's the only one he has left. And really, he's going to have to lose it. That's just the best thing that could happen. He's done tremendous these past few months. Just go home, spend time with your family, and rest. We do have Gabe's team that ends up taking the win. And after that, everybody's still brawling. And everybody's still ready to go. Eddie Kingston got on the mic, called him a pussy, a twat, a whole bunch of names. And I'm just like, whoa. Whoa. Long story short, Eddie Kingston told Gabe that they're going to go against each other at the Resurgence pay-per-view. I don't remember him saying that the title was on the line, but I wouldn't be surprised if the title is on the line. He also tried to get on the mic again, and New Japan was just like, no, we're cutting it. We don't want to hear you talk anymore. Very interesting. We'll see what ends up happening with that. Now, the TV title's on the line. Matt Riddle, he's been a TV champ for a little bit, and he has a rematch with Zack Sabre Jr. Man, I tell you, I cannot stand that it's just 15-minute time limit, because it always seems like just when things are really cooking, it's almost 15 minutes up. And, we need a winner. And we need some more time sometimes with some of these matchups. Now, this was really great. And man, Matt Riddle, I haven't seen him in the ring for a while. Well, you know what? The last New Japan pay-per-view that they had, he was in tag team action. That's different. But to see him in, a match with just himself and another opponent was refreshing to see, because, you know, how he was in WWE. I do feel like he's definitely able to be more of himself now that he's outside of WWE. This was a really great match. I absolutely enjoyed it. And for the most part, I was just like, holy shit, is he going to win? Is he going to lose? Because y'all know me, I love Zack Sabre Jr. And I wanted to see him retain. I can't stand that title. It was so ugly. But I wanted him to retain. And we had like less than 2 minutes left of this match where Zack ends up taking the win. And I forget how technical that Matt Riddle can actually be. And he was able to perform really well, have really great chemistry with Zack. And like I said, if they had more than 15 minutes, whatever they would have been able to do would have just been absolutely amazing. 15 minutes, it goes by so quick. Really great matchup from both of these guys. But Zack, that's my boy. Now, Zack already has the first person to challenge him for the title is Jeff Cobb. Jeff Cobb comes into the ring and he wants that title. And I'm pretty sure that's probably going to end up happening in the Resurgence pay-per-view as well. They don't say, but I'm pretty sure that's where they're going. Now, in a non-title match, we do have Nick Nemeth going against Tomohiro Ishii. Now, this is one of those moments where it was like, all right, Nick Nemeth is the one who wanted to go against Ishii. For what reason, I don't know. But he just wanted to make sure he made it on the card, and this was a fuck around and find out. Ishii, although he lost, he was not going to lose easily, not to Nick Nemeth. And Nick Nemeth found out about the Stone Pitbull. This was a great match. In my opinion, Nick Nemeth, man, I've always thought he's a great wrestler. Unfortunately, it got to the point where he had to be released from WWE for him to go out there and do what he does. You know, they didn't use him as much as they should have. I don't think he was appreciated as much as he should have been appreciated while he was over there. And seeing him over in TNA, seeing him in New Japan, and he's doing amazing, you know. But he had to get his ass whooped a little bit by Ishii before taking the win here. This was a great match. I would actually also like to see maybe, since he also has an IWGP title as well, maybe he might end up making it to Forbidden Door. I would like to see who they would put him in a ring with. That would be awesome. Now, let's go on to the match everyone's been waiting for. We had Jon Moxley versus Naito for the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. So Naito, slower pace. Moxley, a brawler that want to get shit done, and he want to get things done quickly. We haven't seen Jon Moxley bleed in a match for a while now, and I know people love to complain about it, and it hasn't happened for quite some time, and here we are. And I remember seeing was he goes for a tope suicida onto Naito, who's outside the ring. But Naito picks up a chair, so his head ends up hitting that chair. Nothing happens there. Just a little bit after that, we have Naito give him a DDT onto the apron, which just looked absolutely... No, not a DDT, I'm sorry. A neck breaker onto the apron. And it was devastating. And I was just like, oh, okay, Moxley laid out in the ring, referee's counting. Then all of a sudden, Moxley gets up, and there's blood everywhere. And I was just like, a neck breaker? You're bleeding from a neck breaker? I couldn't even believe it. Unnecessary amount of blood. Not as bad as Mark Briscoe the other night at the Ring of Honor pay-per-view, but it was insane. Real talk, Naito needed to lose this. He doesn't perform like how he used to. And it just, you know, Jon Moxley winning it, I think, was the best way to go. Now, Jon Moxley ends up taking the win. Loved it. I was so happy to see it because I knew it. I just knew that's the route they were going. Matter of fact, I saw pictures of Tony Khan and Renee Paquette watching the match from the back. So that was really interesting to see that as well. Now, after the match, he gets on the mic and he's trying to do a promo. He can barely speak. He can barely stand. And he lets Umino know that he wants to go against him first. Now, right after he says this, Ren comes out and attacks Jon Moxley. Then Umino comes out to help Jon Moxley. And I don't know what's going to happen. He already said that Umino is going to be the first opponent, but let's see what happens. Maybe a triple threat with the three of them would be cool to see too. I'm not sure. That might take place at the Resurgence pay-per-view. This was actually a really great pay-per-view. Like I said, my only complaint, camera work wasn't where it should be, and the lighting sucked at times. But other than that, $20 well spent. Guys, if you didn't see it, go ahead and check it out. It's a great pay-per-view. I definitely want to cover more New Japan moving forward from here. But I'll be back tomorrow with Collision and Battle of the Belts. Do a watch along. If you want to come by, come check me out. If not, I'll do a review on the show. So I'll see you guys then. Bye.